All right, guys, welcome back to Critical African Thinkers. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the show today. So, remember, this is the place where we examine everything under the microscope of logic to ascertain what is most factual and logically consistent. So, in today's show, we are going to be covering a checklist, a checklist of privileges. I mean, this was a checklist that came up on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it talked about the privileges that black men have. So, black male privilege. Now, when you talk about privilege, the first thing that usually comes to people's minds is white privilege, right? And the idea of privilege itself is a juxtaposition to the fact that, or to the idea that some other people are underprivileged, right? So if one group is privileged, it means that there is a corresponding group that doesn't have similar privileges, or it's a corresponding group that is having, the short end of the stick, right? So it's almost like a measure of victimhood. It's almost like a measure of a victimhood for things like white privilege and now black male privilege. So we're going to be covering this list. It's a long list. I don't think we can cover everything. It's about 94 points. I mean, this list was published on the page of the Arizona State University. Um, one of their pages, and it talked about the privileges that black men have that possibly black women do not have. So does this mean that black men are they are upgraded now? They're no longer going to be discriminated against. They are no longer going to be killed by the police, right? Does this mean that they've left black women alone? That black women are now at the bottom of the victim, or at the top of the victim pool? What does this mean? So these are some of the things we're going to be covering today. But I found out that while I was doing a little research for this stream, I found out that this idea is not a new one. In fact, this black male privilege, originally the idea originally came up in 2008 by this guy Joel Woods. I think he's the author of the list itself. Joel Woods is his name. He's the one that came up with this list, and he calls himself a male behavioral health specialist, or a male behavioral health counseling and consultational specialist. Says he's a social worker, a sociologist, and entrepreneur. So probably has a lot of time on his hands. That's why I was able to come up with a list like this. So let me put. I'd like people to call in so we can discuss this list together and see whether this list makes any sense. If there is any merit to it, if there is no merit to it, well, we can always discuss. But I'm going to be showing the list on the screen, and we will take it one after the other. And let's just talk. What do you think about this list? Does it make any sense that there is a so-called black male privilege checklist, right? What is the implication of this for black women? Does it mean that black women are left behind? Does this mean that black men have been upgraded to the status of white men itself, or white men themselves? Does this mean that white privilege no longer exists? What does it mean? Well, thinking of privilege in the first place, I think that all sorts of privileges exist by virtue of so many other characteristics, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? The idea that everything is equal, or everything is supposed to be equal for everybody, for every class, for every gender, for every sex, it's more of an illusion, right? Because almost almost nothing is ever equal. I would admit that people are equal before the law. People are equal before the law, and they should be treated equally before the law. And I would also admit that people are equal in worth. But aside that, in reality, people are not really equal in so many sense. In terms of access to opportunities, in terms of talent, in terms of strength, in terms of height, in terms of just name any attribute, you're going to find that people arrange themselves on a certain hierarchy along any characteristic itself. So, taking all those things into consideration and trying to draw out certain privilege, for example, males are physically stronger than females. Does that does that characteristic, is that a privilege per se? No, it's not really a privilege. It's just a fact of life. It's just the way things are, right? So looking at something like that and calling it a privilege uh, might be a misnomer. So I'll share my screen and we'll go through we'll go through these so-called privileges one after the other and see what it is. So you can call in, you can call into the show. Wolf, I'm expecting you to call in. I'm also expecting Unpopular to call in. So now the first, I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I think you can see my screen here. Yep, you can. So SKC is saying some people want equal outcomes. That's impossible if one wants equality. Of course, equal outcomes is impossible, right? It's literally impossible for you to have equal outcomes for almost anything. There's so many factors that come into play when you're considering anything. It's literally impossible. Even given similar conditions, it's almost impossible. But on the other side, on the other hand, there are people like the Jordan Petersons who would also say, what we should be fighting for is equality of opportunity. Well, yes, I think that is something that we should be fighting for. But even that is a pipe dream as well. There is never equality of opportunity. It's never the case that people have equal access to resources. It's never the case that people have equal access to opportunities. No, it's never the case. Depending on where you are, depending on how you grew up, depending on your financial status, depending on your educational background, depending on so many things. So the idea of equality itself, like I said, it's
Hold on.
hi,
I don't
a popular. Welcome
can't
to the
hear you.
conversation. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Unpopular. Okay, so let's
Oh,
continue.
there
If you
it is.
can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me, Charles?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I can hear. All right. Hey, how you doing? Okay.
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to have you in the show today. So let's dive right into the conversation, and we'll just take these points one after the other, right, and see how much we can cover. So the Black Male Privilege Checklist, it covers a whole lot of subheadings like leadership and politics, beauty, sex and sexuality, popular culture, attitudes slash ideology, sports, and so on and so forth. So maybe we'll just take the first five of each of these and talk about it and move to the next category. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Good, good, good. So the first one under leadership and politics, right? So the first black male privilege that is stated here is that I don't have to choose my race over my sex in political matters. So uh, what does this mean to you? I'm trying to understand, is there ever a situation where there is a conflict between someone's race and their sex and they have to make a choice, right? And then black men have the privilege of choosing their sex over their race. So is there ever a situation where there is a conflict between being a male or being a man and being black, and then black men choose to be men instead? What do you think about that? Do you think this is a privilege?
Uh, do I believe that it's a privilege? I don't. Well, I have to think on it a little bit. I don't believe so. Because I mean, I guess it says I don't have to choose my race over my sex. So I guess the question is kind of like, is it important of being black first before being a man? And I would say if you are black, it is. You know, it is. It definitely is. Um, but I feel like the two things to me are synonymous. If you, because we're talking about black male privileges, so both of the things are synonymous to me, Charles. You know, because I feel like as important as it is to be black, if you are a male, I mean, your sex is also important. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know necessarily why, because it's not really asking that question, but it is to me. It is important. But is it a privilege? That's the confusing part, because whether or not if it's a privilege or not is what's confusing me, because it's just like it's not even asking directly about black women. It's just kind of like we're just trying to figure out, is it a privilege, and I don't know how we're supposed to figure that out unless we have like a backing or a basis that goes with that. You know what I'm saying, Charles?
Yeah. So to me, I don't really see the privilege here. I don't see the conflict between being black and being a I really don't see a situation where someone has to choose their sex over their race. I'm trying to think of possible scenarios. So if anyone has a scenario, you can put it in the chat. I'm trying to think of any possible scenario where there is a conflict between you being black and you being a man. And then you have to choose that. And the black man has the opportunity, has the privilege of choosing his sex over his race, while the black woman doesn't have the similar opportunities. It's uh, as Stanley is saying, this point needs development. Black in the context of American history is important. Yeah, black is important in the context of American history, but how do you just suppose that with the sex part? How do you just suppose the conflict between being a black man in America and how do you just suppose the conflict between being black in America and being a man itself? I just don't see it. I really don't see it. The next point
That,
is
mm.
the next point is when I read African American history textbooks, I will I will learn mainly about black men. Okay,
Yeah, see that
so
one got one. That one got me too.
good lord, so you will learn mainly about black men, but you will not learn only about black men, right? So what is this? Why is there a need to parse the history of black people into this category of sex, right? So are we saying that the black men that you learn about, are we saying that they are not deserving of being taught, or are we saying that they are female black figures that are pushed to the back burner, that their work is being de-emphasized? Are we saying there is some sort of discrimination against black women in the history? I, I really don't get that. I don't get why this is even a point in the first place. You're learning about black history, you're learning about people, you're learning about the history of a people, the struggle of a people. Why do you have to parse it into this is why the idea of wanting equality in everything, why it is very, very dangerous, because you can make something out of nothing, right? It's crazy that someone sits down and say, oh, just because when you're learning about black history you're going to learn more about the activities of black men, then that is a problem. Then somehow black women have been sidelined, or somehow there's some sort of discrimination going on. I don't see that happening. I don't see that as a problem. So this point doesn't even make any sense to begin with. What do you think,
Right.
unpopular?
I believe when it like how it connects to the first on the checklist, it says I don't have to choose my race over my sex in political matters, right? So, um, Charles, I heard you say something directly about that. I think you said something about you said I guess you asked the question of how are black men tied to like being like in this. You didn't say this verbatim, but like you said basically like the leadership of like what this checklist right here is asking. So it's like they're worried about like leadership, like far as when it comes to the when it
Yeah, I think that's the next point here, which is when I learn about the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement, most of the leaders that I will learn about will be black men. Well, duh. For the most of history, most leaders have been men, right? I mean, it's really not a privilege. It's just is. How? Okay, now as a black man, right? Let's look at you unpopular, right? What advantages, what what accrues to you given this particular point now that you've learned about how does it affect you in a positive way any more than it affects a black woman to know that the civil rights leaders, many of the civil rights leaders, black civil rights leaders have been men? How does it What advantage does that confer to you as a black man?
I mean, that's the point I was trying to make. That doesn't give me any privilege because it's just like let's say it like this. When it comes to these educational boards, these people that are these people is when it comes to not even the people, just when it comes to the education system, period. Like we don't know. Like that's like a critical conversation going on right now. Not to draw away from what we're talking about right here. It's just like those textbooks, those textbooks that are solely talking about these type of these type of figures in history. So it's just like, wow, wait a second. Is that a privilege? You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say that yes it is. I'll go ahead and say yes it is. Because I mean, not necessarily about just but then again, Charles, I can't say yes either. I'll just say no. I'll just say no, Charles. Nah, I can't. Yeah, it's not because it's just like it's confusing because it's kind of like trying to take pride in yourself, and that's kind of what like privilege is, right? Privilege is kind of like pride, but it has to be good pride. So
Hmm.
I'm not going with that one. I'm not with that one. No, not that one. I'll mark that one out, but I'm not with that
Hmm.
one. I can't.
Okay, so let's talk about the point nine. Point nine says, I will make more money than black women at equal levels of education and occupation. Ah, I don't
Ooh,
know. This is talking about the gender pay gap, which has been debunked over and over and over again, right? There are so many factors that come into why men earn more than women. Maybe the occupation themselves. Sorry, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Sorry. Unpopular, please go ahead. Just keep talking.
okay. All right. I think Charles was at the point of he was at number 9 on his leadership in politics, uh, black male privilege checklist. For those who are here, it says I will make more money than black women at equal levels of education and occupation. Is that a privilege? Is it a privilege that a black male will make more money than his black woman at equal levels of education and occupation? I would say yes. He said, sounds like Father's Day. Damn. Okay. It sounds like Father's Day, huh? Oh man. Is it Father's Day? What's going on? Then again, hold up, wait a second. You know what? Maybe I should even said that. Okay, okay. We need Charles back soon as he can get back. He's more okay. But yeah, it looks like I would say yes, that is a privilege because yes and no. Because you want to be, you well making more money. I guess it's not necessarily about the money. I mean, it can be equal. So then again, I'm not gonna say yes or no. That's a no for me too. For number 9, that's a no for me too. Yeah, I'm not. I don't like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are 2 points there. The first point is that you she will he will make more money than the woman at equal levels of education, right? Well, at equal levels of education, you have to consider so many other factors like the kind of occupation or the kind of education that they get or the kind of occupation that they finally go into. Now, on the other part, in terms of the occupation, isn't it illegal to pay um isn't it illegal to pay two people on the same job scale different salaries? I mean, I don't understand. Isn't there like a salary scale for companies? Can companies decide to? Well, I think it's possible, right? Depending on negotiation, right? Depending on how you negotiate your salary when coming into that position. So, uh,
It
I
it,
don't
it,
know.
it definitely it definitely is different. Hold up. Oh yeah, it definitely is different because I mean people are gonna spend money differently, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think, and I'll say this. When I had answered the question right before you came back, something made me want to correct myself and say, is that a privilege for black men to make more money than black women at equal levels of education and occupation? I would probably say, I probably have to say. Well, I said no. I'm gonna say no again, but oh no, I said no, but I think I'm gonna say yes because I think that it may be important for the way that we're looking at the black male for him to be in charge. So he does need to be making more money than he's
Yeah, he needs to be making more money, but does he make more money than a black woman doing the same job? So if, for example, you as a black man, you were employed to be a software engineer at a certain level, and a black woman was employed for that same role, do you think in practice currently that you'll be earning more than the black woman?
Oh, I mean, it depends. It depends on it. Well, it depends on the education and occupation. Because I mean, I think it becomes like a conversation of what jobs are co-ed. You know, and when I mean co-ed or unisex or unison, what jobs are unison? Because it's just like I mean, maybe there are occupations out there that men and women can share and both equally do and be respected on both sides. That it may be slim, but there should be some out there, right? And I'm pretty sure that there are some out there. And I feel like when it comes to well, the other side of it is already self-explanatory when it comes to just like business, you know. But from the first impression of it, I believe I like how you posed the question, Charles, because I think you're singling out the women and what type of jobs that they could have, like if it's a dominated male or female work environment, and that tends to happen in our economy, like women, and it doesn't have to be about sexuality sometimes, because I don't think jobs have always been like that. But I think that's another thing, Charles, that we have to gatekeep the jobs that we tend to want to talk about, or the occupations, because let's just say there isn't enough work out there in the public work market as there is. People just find the jobs that they find, and they are able to make good enough income with the jobs that they do find. But on the back end of that, it could be a little bit. It could be a little bit like it could be some dirty water on the back end of that, because um, people. It's hard for people to find good job places sometimes. Depending on education. So that's like that was kind of long winded, but
Hmm.
that's all I could get out of it.
Okay, so SKC posted a comment. He said a UPS black that I interviewed said that he got paid the same as a black woman who did the same job, but she always had the men handle boxes over 75 pounds, which caused the men on the crew to work more than her. And I think this is very common in tasks that are, physically demanding, right? Where even though they are all employees, even though they are all on the same they're facing the same job role, when it comes to tasks that are physically tasking, some of the women might have to push their jobs to the men to do to help them out, right? They'll do that while they're literally being paid to that's their job. It's not incumbent on the men to help them out, but most of the time the men somehow just help out. So if it's based on how much if it's based on how much they are contributing to the job, then in that scenario, it might be that the woman is even being overpaid because
Hmm.
she's not doing as much as him at that point in time. If your job requires moving stuff and you get to push that stuff to your male colleagues, and you're earning a salary for that job, it means you're overpaid actually.
You're right. So, you're saying that the black women they're overpaid, that they're getting paid more than men, and like
So there are a few comments of Stanley's that I want to respond to here. Let me take this one. He said, SKC, a job that required lifting, I would say, let's get better jobs. Yeah, let's get better jobs, but there are jobs. Who is going to do the job that requires lifting? There are jobs anyway. People are still going to do those jobs, except you want to say nobody gets to do those jobs. or you're saying that only men get to do those jobs, right? And many of those heavy lifting jobs are already skewed to, men being the only ones doing it in the first place. So who is going to do the heavy lifting? Mexicans? Okay.
And
Let's go
okay,
to.
unless you're talking about like industrial lifting, but like I feel where you're coming from with that, Charles. That's what Stanley too. I feel where you're coming from because it's just like I mean the woman,
Getting.
woman, but the man is gonna do the lifting. That was the initial question. It's gonna be the man. He's gonna be the one doing the lifting.
But in a sense, if she wants to be paid the same as the man on that job, then she has to be able to do everything that the man is doing at that job. You can't have it both ways. You can't, when it is convenient, not do your job and at the same time complain that you're not being paid the same, because the man could easily say he's being underpaid on based on the fact that he's doing more of the job, he's doing more of the lifting than you, right? So why can't he make that claim? But you're making the claim that you're not being paid, which I think is totally made up anyway. I don't think it's true. If it happens, I don't think it's very prevalent that such things happen. But I do know that, for certain jobs, you can, depending on how you negotiate, depending on your level of experience, depending on some other factors, maybe the qualifications you have, when you go for a job interview, you and your colleagues on the same level might be earning something a little bit different. So I don't know if their sex or their gender plays into how they are going to be paid in that regard. I don't know how much of a contributing factor their sex or even their negotiating power comes into play in in such situations. But I'm thinking more your negotiation more than your sex will have a role to play in that regard. So let's look at beauty, right? So another privilege that black men have is I have the ability to define black women's beauty by European standards in terms of skin tone, hair, and body size. In comparison, black women rarely define me by European standards of beauty in terms of skin tone, hair, or body size. What do you think?
Uh, you read number one. That was the one you read.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, it says okay. I kind of missed it. I kind of missed it because I was blanked out right there for a second. It says I have the ability to define black women's beauty by European standards in terms of skin tone, hair, and body size. In comparison, black women rarely define me by European standards of beauty in terms of skin tone, hair, and body size. Okay, okay, so this is supposed to be another privilege. It's supposed
Mhm.
to be either or it either is or either isn't another privilege of the black male. This is
Mhm.
a confusing one because it's talking about like uh well, it says I have the ability to define the black woman's beauty. I'm gonna say is that a privilege? Off top, no. And then again I might say yes. I'll say yes too. You know what, Charles?
Why yes?
You know what, Charles? I'll be honest with you. When it comes to the conversation of beauty, when it comes to this college, ASU, when they wanted to make this black male privilege checklist, did they decide to check with anybody? Did they did they want to?
The checklist was made by a black man,
Oh,
Jewel Woods.
so you know what? I'm glad that you said that. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable because I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'll say do the have the ability to find the black women's beauty by European standards? By European standards? Uh, I don't even turn skin tone, hair, body size. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Are you talking about?
So I think
Are you talking about
probably they're
like
saying
hair,
that I
blonde
think probably they're
hair?
saying that black men are more attracted to European features in women. I mean, maybe they are more attracted to black women that have a lighter skin tone, or black women that wear straight hair with slim figure. Do you think Do you think that's true in terms of how black men find
You
their
know what?
attraction to black women?
I believe that that is true, but is that a privilege? No, it's not a privilege. It's not a
Yeah, it can be a preference.
Yeah, it's a preference because when it comes to the privilege of it, like of course a black male wants a woman. I'm not gonna say all women, but I'm gonna say a woman to
Hmm.
represent him with a certain beauty standard. I feel like that's every man. They of course you would probably want a more slim, slender, poised type of woman, that matches your character. And but sometimes there is that over sexualization of women that we can't ignore. And I feel like a lot of us we're a lot of us are adults to the point where we can understand that sexualization to the point where like we get it, we know what's going on, and we understand it for what it is. But when it comes to like the European standard, I don't feel like that's a European standard if a black woman wants to press her hair and wear her natural hair, straight and pressed, because she's wearing her black woman's hair. Or as far as her skin tone, I mean, depending like your skin tone can go with your hairstyle, you know. Your body size, your body size is just who you are. This question is a little bit kind of like feministic in my opinion. And I don't like this one because it's just a why does this? I mean, I'll just say
Let me put it.
I'll say
Let me
no.
put it another way. Let me
Yeah,
put it another way. Right?
sure.
You said you kind of admitted that it's true that black men are more attracted to women with lighter features and straight hair, right? And so, do black women have a similar requirement for black men? Do they require black men to be lighter or to have a blonde eye or blue eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes, and all those typical European features? Is that a requirement from most or some black women in terms of who they are attracted to in a man?
Uh, yes.
Hmm, that's interesting. Hey, Observative, welcome to the conversation.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me up, guys. It's funny, I clicked on this because SKC emailed me the link, so I didn't really know what I was going to expect. And I just covered this a couple of streams ago. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
wild
cool.
list. It took me like 3 hours to get through.
Oh, we're not going to spend that much time, but would love to hear your thoughts on this. So maybe you can jump right in where in the conversation so far, wherever you want to start from. What do you think about this list in the first place?
Well, first off, this is pure feminism right here. This list is feminism in its purest form. And I mean, aside from like, I've made so many jokes. I'm almost out of jokes about this thing. But like, even if you set aside the obvious misguided, wrong-headed feminist ideology that this list is born from, I hear a lot of resentment coming out of this thing. I feel a lot of haters. Like, why y'all just be hating? Like, damn, it's not my fault. God gave you like a vagina and all the corresponding hormones. I can't fix that for you, but somehow we're the problem, and which brings me to another point. This is a little bit esoteric, perhaps, but like feminism and feminists, by ideology, they just hate God and nature and the natural order of things. Because if you look at their complaints, you listen to the stuff that they spout out about oppression and privilege, it's just like, well, listen, when you're born a guy, it works better this way for you.
Hmm.
And they just got so much resentment for that. And it's like, you know what? You really hate God. That's what I'm reading here.
Hmm.
Hey, Charles, can I go ahead and respond to him quickly, right quick?
Yeah.
And Charles, this is for both of you. Charles, I'll ask you directly. Did you like before I came here? I had already had the list printed out, right? I looked at it, and as I was reading the first two checkoffs on the leadership in politics. Like it's funny
Hmm.
how the hood conservative before he mentioned it, because I guess he had already went over it, but as we have went down this list from these two gateways or portals of leadership and politics into beauty, I'm not gonna lie. Like we asked that one question in beauty, and it diverges right back to the first few questions. I'm not gonna lie. I agree with him completely when I say that this whole thing is kind of feministic, and it's crazy that you could pinpoint that because it's just like you mean to tell me you make a black male privilege checklist and it's like purely feministic? That's almost like what they call it, like an Easter egg that you just found. Because it is once you actually look at it, it is. And like, what is the
Well,
feminism?
bro, who believes in feminism? I mean, who believes in black male privilege more than a black feminist? You think white feminists have that much interaction with black men that they're really resenting black male privilege? Nah. If anything, I mean, white feminists, they love black men, but that's a whole nother story. But black
Well,
feminists, oh yeah, they hate the black male privilege. So they would be the main and only ones.
But that's
that can be construed as a privilege if white women are fawning over a black male, and maybe white men don't have similar attractions to black women, so they can interpret that as some sort of black male privilege in that they have cross racial appeal to white women.
hey,
Did you skip ahead? Because that's literally going to come up. I swear to God, it's going to come up.
hey, hey, look, I wish you didn't just pull the curtain open like that because I was cool leaning back, but I don't know. Maybe it was gonna pop its head out anyway. Because I'm not gonna lie, this beauty part, it got feministic real quick, and I mean hardcore and radical. Like I'm talking about quickly. And it's just like I know when they're trying to do like these surveys and whatnot, they don't have much ground to stand on. So you kind of got to respect it for what it is. So I don't. I'm not in that into or that well versed in identity politics, but it would seem that feminism is something that's just on the other side of non-feminism. Feminism. That's
Mm,
what it is. So you just
yeah.
have to deal with feminism.
All right, Wolf. Welcome to the conversation. Let's hear
It
your
was good,
thoughts.
Charles.
I'm good.
Yeah, so I looked over a couple of it, Charles, but the point you're on real quick, what I'll throw into that, this whole ideology where, it's the black women that are telling the black men that we judge them by European white standards, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
Because there's a YouTuber called Conscious Lee who's on this type of trend where black men need to date obese black women or women we don't find attractive because you're supporting a white supremacy construct by dating skinnier women or this or that. And that's completely retarded to me. It's not a white standard to be skinny.
Hmm.
Yes. I didn't know who Conscious Lee was until he was on Olay Olurin's show the other day. So, Wolf, that's an excellent point, and I'm going to hang back, but I have a bigger problem. Wolf is on the right track here. Why, Wolf?
Yeah,
Good point. Good, excellent point.
yeah. But other thing I'm gonna add, Charles, is there's a point in there about how the black man can stay home and play video games while the wife does all the housework. That comes down to the man because it depends on what the woman wants in the man. If she wants to be a housewife, she knows what she's signing up for. If she don't want to do that, you don't have to.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
So I,
that's the choice. So
when I look at this
Well,
list,
my question is when folks get together and they decide to form a household or a family, why why does it have to be feminist? Why does it have to be anything other than what they decide? Um, there don't necessarily have to be rules. That whole point about, a man's house is his castle, etc. It's the rules you decide to do as a man and a woman, husband and wife, to make a successful family. Why do we care about checklists? why do we care about feminism? Why do we care about any of this once you get married and have to function as
Can
a team unit, whatever?
can I
Why do we
ask you a
care?
question? And
Please do.
to explore that question, to explore an answer to your question, I would like to ask you: are you married or a parent at this point in your life?
I'm a parent. I have been married. I
Okay.
so I'm a
No,
widower.
I didn't want to make
So
it like too personal. I was just curious because this is my
nope.
take on it. And
I've had to. Yeah, I've been both. Not married currently, but what?
all right, and
And
the reason why.
it wasn't a choice. It wasn't a divorce or anything like that.
No, understood. And my condolences for your loss. But the reason why I asked that question is because I think there are a lot of younger men, and I definitely count myself in this when I tell this when I make this
Oh, you're
point. But
wise, not young.
no, let me make the point, and thank you. But let me make the point. I think there are a lot of younger men who,
Mhm.
when they get into the relationship world and see, most people, I don't think in this day and
Oh,
age, are planning families. They're just having children. And so
okay,
one, there's a step that's being missed just in the planning. But
okay,
on top of that, I think nobody's really explaining to men the
okay.
hardcore realities of things, whereas women sit in their little circles and they hatch plots and they
But
tell
see,
each other how to get over and all that, but men,
I'm
nobody's
gonna,
really doing that.
Stanley, please let
well,
him
I'm
finish.
gonna
Let
disagree
Stanley,
with you. I don't think
Stanley, Stanley,
men
please.
or women are
Stanley,
being
Stanley,
Well,
given the
please.
Stanley,
realities.
hold on,
Stanley,
Stanley. You gotta let Charles
Stanley,
control the thing, bro.
Stanley, please let people finish their point before you make your own point. Please don't interrupt anyone again, please. You can go ahead.
Yeah.
I thought he was finished. I don't think women are being explained any better than men are. They're getting their own take by feminists or whatever. They're not looking at who you're marrying, etc. And I argue that young men aren't either.
Well,
They're two different camps
When
explaining how it should be, and these two people as individuals aren't forming their own relationship. There's
Stanley,
baggage that's being brought into the relationship, and my last point, I do not agree that black women, are any worse. I think feminism, it is just like identity politics. It's just BS. None of it matters if you actually are forming a good relationship.
mm,
the one thing I wanted to counter with that, and I know we got to get back to the list, so I'll just say this quickly. Young women are being indoctrinated without even being called feminism. They are being taught the feminist ways, whereas there is no corollary for young men. No one is teaching young men how to be a modern man, so to speak. They're basically giving guys the old school playbook to deal with modern new school women, and that is where the conflict lies. And I'll pass
But
the mic.
but can I respond to that? Rap music is teaching young men how to be. That has no influence over young men.
I think my argument stands,
And
especially since you went to rap.
I think
Come on,
my
rap.
argument, dude, I'm talking now. Can I finish my point, Charles?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that rap music, since I was a kid and I'm old now, I think that rap music has influenced young black men over the past 30 years of how they should view relationships. And I think it's as equally toxic.
mm.
Bell Hooks is no worse than gangster rap.
Hmm.
Well, and too,
Okay.
Charles,
Yeah.
I agree with something that Hood Conservative said. The black feminists will hate this checklist because for the first time now, the black man has had some kind of a format to follow. And I think now these black women are going to start to see that black men are getting tired of being treated like garbage by them. A lot of us are getting fed up with it. That's why we're saying we're done. That's why the whole passport bro thing started. That's why black men are dating other races. And it comes down to, I think feminism to black women is entirely different now to white women.
Are you saying feminism is the biggest problem in the black community?
Feminism, Stanley created the problem.
Oh no, I don't. I certainly don't agree with that.
I do.
And hey, Charles, can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, you can.
All right. Well, let me see if I can answer what Wolf was just saying because
Mhm.
as everybody was talking, I was looking at to go back to what Hood Conservative was saying about this list. I might have to digress and come back around or whatever diverge and come back around and say I don't think that the list may just be completely feminine because I mean we haven't went all the way through it yet. I mean I think Charles was going to try to touch on sections and he's been doing that very good. So Charles, what I'm gonna do is try to reply to Wolf and Charles, I want to see if you can actually make it to the next part where we can figure out if this list is completely feminist.
Unpopular, real quick before you respond, can you like fix your microphone? Because it kind of sounds muffled to me, unless it's just my end.
I mean, that's why I've been asking Charles or anybody else here. It's sounding like bad.
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's like
Yeah,
it
it's
takes me a
muffled.
second to hear the words.
Yep.
Hold on, I'm just gonna switch to my phone speaker and hopefully this.
So to me, looking at this list, it just looks as if the list is. Oh, I'm getting a feedback echo.
Yeah, I think when you just put your speakerphone on, you're now echoing for everybody else. You have to mute up.
All right, let me mute.
All right. Okay, I think it's better now. When looking at this list, I think it's just a list of things that feminists complain about men, and then they just added a black label to it, black male label to it, and pushed it out. That's what it's seeming to me, because there is really no distinction between what you would call the typical male privilege and this list itself. I don't see why it's specific to the black male as in respect to the black woman.
I see where you're going with that. I don't think it's
So
entirely wrong. It could be beneficial to both sides, but I think, Charles, this is like what needs to come out, right? Because I don't think the black man to an extent has had the guidance to raise the household like he needs to today. And I think that I don't agree with everything in there. Some of it is not beneficial because, you know, it kind of like that one, for example, that basically your woman is nothing but, you know, clean, cook, all that. That's kind of dangerous because you create this mindset now where they could see women as lesser than them. But at the same time, some of it can be correct and some of it can have a use. There needs to be a mentorship of some kind created for black men so that we can rise up again and be better people.
So the thing is, this list is saying these are a list of things that black men can do or black men can benefit from that black women cannot do or cannot benefit from. That's the point of the list itself. And I'm trying to parse and see if it makes any sense, if it is true, if these things, okay, like let's look at the next example that I want to take. This one on sex and sexuality. It says, I can purchase pornography that typically shows men devour women by the common practice of the money shot. So is this something that is exclusive to men? Is it exclusive that black men can purchase pornography that does all this and black women cannot?
Well, I think they were really kind of, and it's hilarious that they would actually focus on something as goofy as the quote money shot. But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing about this list. You know what? If you're really going to make me the bad guy because I can do a money shot and you can't, well, God damn it, I'm the bad guy. Sue me.
Hold on. So when it says money shot, you know what? Hold on. Wait a second.
Oh dear. Can I ask a quick question? Because I didn't catch the show at the very beginning. Was it a
Yeah, sure, go
male
ahead.
or a female who made this list?
See, that's
A
that's
black
what I'm
black
asking.
male, a black male, a black man.
But it's for a
I see.
university, right? So it's a university, right? So if you look at like a privilege checklist, it's almost like not necessarily like a survey, but he just has a bunch of statements, and his statements. I mean, I knew he had to come up with a few of them in a short matter of time or something like that, but I get it. It has some comical elements to it. I get it because like this whole sex and sexuality portion, the first one being a money shot, I feel like that's kind of like, I mean, it is what it is, man. But and by the way, can somebody just clarify for me what the hell a money shot is? I don't know. Go ahead and
Yeah,
answer. I don't know what a money
I was about to ask that. Where did the t- where did the term where did
No,
the
no, no, we
term
can't.
money shot come from?
That'll get
What
Charles
the
Stream took down. No, no,
origin?
no, 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 no. We can't do that, bro. That'll get Charles Stream took down.
See, that's what I'm saying. No, 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 no. We grown here. You ain't. They ain't taking shit down. We good, right? We good, right, Wolf?
It's when a
Yeah,
woman
bro.
takes one to the face in the porno
Yeah.
industry. It's use your
Oh
imagination. You've
my
seen it
God!
before.
They put that shit on
Yeah.
this.
And she's
Yeah,
really like offended. She's jealous. This is what I mean. Like you're a hater. Nature made you this way, and you're a hater now.
So nature made you the recipient of a money shot?
this is the guy.
It's
No, 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 not the
Who made the list.
recipient. Well, yeah, the recipient, but the fact that you
Okay,
can't really
well
give one to
I can
men.
stop
There's
there.
a jealousy, like penis envy.
well. Hold on, hold
Okay,
on.
essentially what you're saying is women were designed to take money shots.
Oh man, this
Okay,
shit is.
see,
No,
this
bro.
is
That is
where
what the
I
writer.
leave, dude.
No.
I
That is
leave the
what the writer
boat.
of the list. That's what the writer of the list is implying. And I'm like, why would you even
I
say
got you.
something crazy like that? Like, where the hell did that even come from?
I
Like
agree.
that you have a
Now I'm starting to think the guy who wrote this has a
no.
problem.
Well, Charles. It. See, I'm not gonna lie. That's crazy because this is supposed to be Arizona State University Project Humanities, and they have some shit like this on there. Like, did, what happened? Did they just let some kids just like, okay,
Now,
we got a project for y'all to do? They was like, okay, we got this one.
but see, now we got to be fair. There's a difference when it comes to that industry, though, because the women agree to it in exchange for financial compensation. There's a difference in that industry versus regular life. We got to make that distinction.
Oh, I have a response to that,
For
but
whose
I'll
benefit do
wait.
we have to make this distinction? Like, I don't understand the benefit or the need for such distinction. Please educate me.
Well, number one, because in the industry, the women are compensated to do that. Now, yeah. And I don't think that men should take that and say, oh, well, now my has got to do that.
So the men are doing it for free.
That's the thing, bro. It's not even about the industry per se. We in our minds, because of the language, we think money shot. It's a word associated with the industry, right? But ultimately, what it's getting at is the basic dynamics, the basic sexual, physical realities between a man and a woman. It's got nothing to do with the industry per se. They are railing against the way nature makes men and women.
Okay, but that is a perfectly horrible argument. Do you make babies with money shots?
I can't, man.
Man, look,
Dude, it is a totally ridiculous argument. Money shots don't make families.
wait. Let me see if I can piece this together though, because the first section it talks about leadership and politics. So it talks about the man having the privilege to be in the leadership position,
All
right?
right. So I think we're derailing. Let's get back to the conversation and the money
Hey,
shot. We're done with money shot. Okay.
yeah,
So let's look at another point. The point of 3. I have the privilege of not wanting to be a virgin, but preferring that my wife or significant other be
That's
a
a
virgin.
manosphere argument.
Good Lord. So, how exactly is this? How is this a black male privilege? I mean,
That's a manosphere argument to
Well,
me, in my opinion.
how did the idea of money shots become a black male idea?
We need to
Man,
get
yeah,
back to that. I
this,
thought we moved on
that's
from that.
Joel Woods, the guy who wrote it.
No, but see, this is the
Bro, don't
weird
hone
thing.
in on that too much, man. You're gonna get Charles
Well, no,
taken down.
there is a broader. I'm sorry. There is a broader point though. It's not even about. A lot of this is just male stuff and not necessarily black specific either. So it's like
Yep.
you're giving me double
That
points
is
for being a black
exactly
man.
my point. Exactly my point. Not black male. Love
Yeah.
that point. Thank you
So
for making it.
they just slapped. They just looked at things that could apply to men, and then he just slapped a black male label on it and says this is black male privilege, which is dumb. Another point: when it comes to sex, if I say no, chances are it will not be mistaken for yes. So you're saying that the black man has the ability to say no, and no means no, but the black woman cannot say no and it means no with respect to the black man.
Well, I guarantee you, after a money shot, the black woman's second time around, her response is going to be no.
This is crazy.
I think to that point, it depends on a lot of that is contingent upon the way some women do say no. Like there used to be a time where it was like no, okay, that's a no, but like no, stop, no, please,
Man,
no,
Steve.
no. You know what I'm saying? That's not a fucking no. Anybody who's dealt with women knows that that's not a no. And so it's like this weird. It's all getting thrown together. Nowadays, if they even giggle, no, it's like nah, no, we're not even gonna take
No.
it that.
Yeah, and the rules of sexual politics are nothing like anybody kind of remembers from growing up or 20, 30, 40 years ago or whatever. So it's like in this constantly changing dynamic, you're always going to be wrong as the man because and I'm thinking about this Suki situation where like a grown man tries to kiss a grown woman and the world stops and wants to have a whole dialogue about it, but that very grown woman can throw her sexuality at a little boy twerking all over his chest, and no conversations get had about this sort of thing. It's like all the rules are shifting and changing to a point of ludicrousness.
Can I respond to SKC right quick? SKC, hopefully I've raised my son to treat women better than money shots. No need to research it. It's something an actual strong black man wouldn't consider.
yeah, man, I agree with you on that, bro.
Well, and Charles, like, see, some of these just seem like rebellious points by women by saying that we're sexualized. So, like, number 5, for example, if I am R word, no one should assume that I should have known better. That's a common argument that feminists will make against women being sexual objects. Men, they don't talk about the fact that there's boys that get R-worded and men that get R-worded, roofied, all that, but it's not seen in the same light in society.
What's R-worded? Can it be said?
Don't.
Put it in the back chat. Put it in the back chat because I have no idea what that means.
RAPE.
Rape.
Oh, got
I
it.
didn't want to
Okay.
say it because that's a sensitive word on YouTube.
I mean, no. I mean, at least I don't think shit. See, this has went the wrong direction. I don't know what. Charles, bring me back because I'm lost now. I want to be brought back.
Yeah, so let's continue. Let's look at point 8. In general, I prefer being involved with younger women socially and sexually. Black male privilege.
Oh, I have to respond to SKC again, but please make your point. All I have to say is all I have to say is SKC. SKC, you asking that question, I had so many jokes.
I don't know, man. To me, this list is kind of outdated because all that stuff that, like, a lot of this stuff on the list, it's been pushed to the point where women can do a lot of this stuff now. So I don't understand it. It's like, it's this list is from a different time.
But was there ever a time where women couldn't even do these things? Was there ever a time in the last 50, 60 years that women couldn't do any of these things?
Since the beginning of the sexual revolution, no, it was open season.
Exactly.
No, not exactly.
So what's the point?
Dude, black men have been doing the same thing that white men have been doing time immemorial.
Because they're men.
Somehow that's
You know
I
what?
think he's talking about women, though.
I think you're absolutely right. So why are we acting like there's a black male privilege?
Well, we are not acting like we saw it. Someone wrote this ridiculous list and slapped the black male label on it.
I think
Stanley,
I think this was written by. Please go ahead, because I'm hogging.
no, let me just sort of try to answer your question, because I don't know that most people understand how deep it is. And so, like, I was just having this whole long drawn out conversation about this sort of thing this morning when it comes to like black men and black politics. And what most black men do not understand is that as far as black women are concerned, you are the white man and you are the patriarchy to be defeated. And so when they
But see,
write
I
all these things
disagree
down,
with that.
dude, you're reading it. The proof and the pudding is in front of you. I don't know what else to do for you. This is what they think of the black
Okay,
man.
well,
He is essentially the white man
let
to
me
the
give
black
you
woman.
let me give you a different pudding. Don't be that way. You don't have to. You don't have to be
Are you saying
anything
don't be
other
a
than you.
man?
No, I'm saying don't be a bad man. Be a good man.
Well, they're making
Okay, but
all the
you're not listening
typical
to me.
male.
Why do you have to be typical?
Hold
It's
on.
not
Let me make
about
the
him.
point. Let me
It's
make
not
the point.
about him. It's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let me make the point. Yeah, it's not a personal thing. I'm not taking it about me, but what I'm saying is that the list is taking the most basic intrinsic masculine qualities or realities, like the fact that men can do
I
certain
get your
things
point.
sexually that women cannot. Those are intrinsic masculine realities, and they're making them negative. So it's not that I have to not be the bad guy. You're describing everything about men as the bad guy.
No, that's not true. I'm describing what
Not
the
you, Stanley, the list.
well, no,
Forgive
no,
me.
no, no,
Not
no.
you, Stanley.
What
The
I'm
list is
saying,
describing that.
and I'm not saying. I'm saying the list is the problem. That someone could be taken seriously writing this list is the problem.
Yeah, at least Arizona State University took him seriously enough to post the list on their website. So
Man, look, Charles, I'll say this. Like, the first segment was good. The second segment kind of set it off and set it up the third segment. But I think sex and sexuality, as far as black male privileges, I don't think that anything on this sex and sexuality section is going to be deemed a honest privilege for a black male. I'm just saying. So I don't know if you want to read another one for like the comical gesture of it. I mean, go
no,
ahead, because for the most part,
let's
it just
go on
seems
to
disrespectful and comical. That's all it really seems.
let's go to popular culture, right? Um, I come from a tradition of humor that is based largely on insulting and disrespecting women, especially mothers. So is this something that is prevalent in the black community where there's a culture of black men disrespecting their mothers?
Which black
And
community are you talking about?
We
Yo, it's look, if you don't think that that's true, tomorrow is Father's Day. Check your Facebook. See what the women say.
Well, I'm gonna say there's some black communities in some countries that are worse than others.
Yeah, but Stanley, you always like saying, well, this is the US, so let's keep it to the US.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we're talking the black community in the US.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that overarching, American culture has huge problems. And I think black culture being under the American culture umbrella, um, is taking the wrong lessons. I think it'll go back to a lot of things you would agree with, Charles. Being a good person, being a good man, you will attract good women, and good men and women form good families. And I'm not going to, be like judgmental, but good people attract good people. It is very important that we raise good kids.
Okay. So
Lists like this don't matter to good people. They would look at the list and do what I did and go, "Oh my goodness,
but Stanley,
I hope my son never writes this list."
Stanley, so the point is not about good people not looking at this list. The point is that it will sow a certain kind of mentality in some women, some black women, to say, yeah, it's true that black men are part of those that are oppressing us. It's not just it's like it's creating another category of victimhood. It's not just white privilege now. It's not just white people oppressing us. It's also men of our own race oppressing us as well, which I think it's a bad narrative, right? That's the
I
problem with lists.
agree. It's a bad narrative.
Look, even if I were to lean all the way into the narrative and say that it's so, then why don't we discuss the victimization of black women by other black women?
Oh,
That's a
that's a
topic
key
of
point,
discussion.
Lou.
But
I
Black
mean,
women,
I mean,
man.
we don't have
hey,
to dig into
Lou,
that. I'm just making that point. Like,
Well, nah,
look,
it is what it
you
is.
right. And Charles,
but
too, I had to add
wait a
right
second.
quick.
Let's not jump off, right? Like, and Wolf, I know why you want to touch on that, right? But like, I feel like inside of this black male privilege list, we need to understand that this was done by a university, pre- precisely in Arizona. So, I mean, let's not just move away from the fact that they're trying to actually add some sentiment to it that you may not like. Because think about how hard it was to come up with this checklist period. Like they had to go to the core of a lot of statements and questions. Like it's a lot of stuff in here that you're not going to like, right? But you got to think about the material that they had to even use. That they had to
Oh
come to
dear.
put this together.
Well, unpopular, two things with that. To add to what Lou said, the first thing about the Father's Day reference, there was a clip that went viral. Now, some people said that it was a staged event, but in the subculture of Black America, it was still correct. Where a father brought McDonald's to his son, and the black woman came out and said, "Why the fuck didn't you get McDonald's for all these kids?" And he made it clear to her. He said, "Those ain't my kids." And she took the damn drink and the food and threw it on the damn ground and said, "Fuck off," basically, because he was trying to be a father to his son, and she didn't like the fact that he wasn't willing to do it for all of them. Second
Well, let me
point,
ask you a
Lou. No, no,
question.
no. Hold
Stanley,
on, hold on,
Were
Stanley,
they
Stanley.
Stanley,
Hold on,
married?
Stanley,
hold on, hold
Stanley,
on, hold on.
Stanley.
No, they weren't married,
Oh,
by
go
the
ahead.
way. They
Okay,
were
just
separated, but he
checking, because that's
still took
kind of
care of that
my
kid.
point.
But the
Stanley,
second
please.
point, Charles, is this: black women are so quick to tear each other down, and Lou made a good point with that.
Yeah. Conservative.
They don't
Let's
have
Yeah,
each other
yeah.
back.
I just feel like it's getting away from like the topic at hand. And I feel like for you guys to mention that, like I get why you would mention it, but it's just like it has a sentiment to it that I feel like maybe you guys personally have to deal with on your own time. And it's like I don't even think it's nothing like that deep because it depends on where you come from in your life, like how you deal with women or how you look at women or and that's why I say I'm not the type of one to try to pull somebody's skeletons out their closet, but it's just crazy because it's just like this information is there, and I think it's about the black male privilege, right? The black male privilege, and when it comes to culture and stuff, there has been things that come out in culture that are comical and necessarily not of good taste for black males. It's not. But
Oh boy.
yeah, I feel like when it comes to stuff like that, there's always gonna be there's always gonna be people in places that are gonna sit up there. It's all about what you're doing today in your life, right? Because you always have to think about bettering yourself unless you look at it from a different perspective, right? And whatever that perspective is, look, the perspective is greater than what you represent because you could just be the individual. The perspective is, but that's why I say
All
you
right.
have I can sit up here and be, and like he could be huffing and puffing, but it's just like, are you the big bad wolf, or are you just annoying?
Well, to a certain
Um,
extent, I would go to a Glenn Lowry point. Don't be having kids with a woman who has
So you
tons
are
of other kids.
But
so
Charles,
Black male privilege isn't bringing McDonald's to the one of 7 kids that his woman has. How is that
well,
black
and
male
Charles,
privilege?
the other key
yeah, go
point,
ahead,
Charles,
bro.
is this: is I would even make the case that this list existed in rap culture 20, 30 years ago. I don't think it's a
Hmm.
new phenomenon like people were making it out to be. I know
Boom,
that sounds I know that sounds
boom,
like coon behavior, but this
boom.
list is just a worded version of what rap culture visualized.
Let me add to
Well,
that
well,
point. How many
here's the
Thank you.
people
problem
have
though.
Wait.
Before you add to
Well
it, let me
said,
point
Wolf.
something
Well
out.
said.
That is a
well said,
small
Wolf?
subset of the men, right? So the rap culture thing holds, right?
Oh,
I agree. You could hear this type of thing in rap culture, but what's the percentage of men actually doing that? Most men are basically raised with the do right by women kind of thing, where women are actually not raised to do right by men. And your rappers might be talking
oh.
about this, but most guys they're trying to do right.
So black women aren't trying to do what do right?
Okay. Now, hood conservative, I'm gonna break this out to you then. Now I gotta go to something that Kevin Samuels referenced here because I don't have the number in front of me. But he said anywhere from 70 to 75% of the black births are done by 18 to 20% of the black population. That's the guys in the hoods, the subculture of black America. The black women are having the kids with these men, not the middle class.
Excellent point.
Again,
And
I'm just making
I
the
wanna add
argument
I wanna
that
add to
women
this.
are not raised to do right by men. Women, as young girls coming up, they don't have that culture of do right by men. But everybody, men, women, boys, girls, we all make sure little boys know the rules. Don't do this. Don't hit girls. You be nice. There's a whole different subculture when we
I
socializing the
could
women versus the men.
I
But I would
could
make the
I
argument, hood
could not
conservative.
disagree with you more.
I would make the argument, hood conservative, that middle class black women that are married to middle class black men, their children do a lot better than these women that go after the 18 to 20% of the men.
Yes.
And
And
I
I
don't think the
wanna
middle
add
class
a
blacks
jokey
act like that.
point. Why Arizona State University, what is the black population of Arizona? I, I
Bro,
suspect.
it's like 6 people.
Yeah,
And one,
I'm
and one
sorry,
of them is
what?
like probably, I say, it's like 6 people, and one of them is just a really dark skinned Mexican.
Dude, I've been to Phoenix. Great place, but they, I would, I would be much more comfortable if this was like Howard, or
Well,
somewhere
I
And
that
mean,
Charles,
actually
do you think,
understands black culture.
do you imagine a list from Howard is going to be any less ridiculous?
It would be the same
Well,
list.
I would say this. I would think folks at Howard would understand the black community much better than Arizona State would.
Well, it was a black man who wrote the list, so
and Charles. So let's go to number 8 and number 9.
A black
That
man
is
all
who
right.
wrote it for Arizona State.
that right here,
So
Charles.
it's let's go
I can
to
hear. Yeah, number
yeah,
8 and number
read
9 if
read
you can.
go ahead and read. Wolf.
So you got number 8. I can hear and use language, bitches, hoes. to demean women with virtually no opposition from men. That's what's promoted in rap. They do this all the time. Bitches, hoes, thoughts, all that. And then you got number 9. I can wear a t-shirt oftenly referred to as a wife beater. Now the history of the wife beater is a little bit different. That actually came from the trailer park white men, and that's why women would wear the white tank top, because they beat their wives. That's the stereotype. Now it got adopted in the rap culture because it was different, but similar concept.
But the thing is, don't black women say these things too? Don't they support things like this? I mean, what's her name? Cardi B and the
Charles,
rest.
the black
don't-
women call each other bitches. That's a
Cardi B
Yeah, so
is
how
not
exactly is this?
ADOS.
How
No,
exactly
no,
is
no,
this
no. But
a
still,
how exactly is this a privilege for a black man if black women can do all this as well?
that right there is
I'm
not.
saying the list is fallacious.
That's
That's
why I
my
said, Charles,
opinion.
some of it's bizarre, but some of it's like strange to me.
well, not only is there no female version of this, but again, you never hear. Well, let me start like this. You will from time to time hear a group of black men talking about, relationships or whatever. Hell, even Stanley just now took offense to something he thought I said. He misunderstood me, and he was like, "Oh no, I don't know
What's
about that."
well? Let's
Bro.
do.
Let me make my
Let,
point, bro.
Stanley, let him
Let me make
finish
my
his
point.
point.
Let me make my
I
point. Let me
didn't
make my
take
point.
offense.
I'm
Stanley,
making a
let him.
point. I'm making a point. I never
Okay.
said you
Stanley,
actually
let him
did.
finish.
Well,
So
you
Hold on.
literally
the
said
point
Stanley took
Stanley, no,
offense.
Stanley,
No,
hold
you
on, bro.
you
You gotta let him finish.
misunderstood me, bro. You misunderstood me. So you were about to take offense, and I'm like, no, I wasn't saying that. And the point I was bringing up is that even among men, there is a level of like morality and decency for how we should relate to women. Whereas even you and I, we don't know each other from Adam, but you have no problem saying, whoa, that's a little too much for me, right? Even if you misunderstood me, that's just how men are. But with women, I almost never hear women tone other women down about how they talk about men, what they've done to a man, how they should treat a man. It's always high fives and giggles and girl, you go girl, and you got this and yada
Okay,
yada
well,
yada.
I'm gonna
Only
have to.
men have that moral restraint for women.
But
Women
see,
don't have it for
I.
men.
Oh, you know why? Because women don't feel comfortable to the man who gave them a money shot. That's obvious.
Oh, good lord.
Bro, she asked for the goddamn money shot. Like, let's stop
Oh,
trying
did
to
she
money shot
now?
shame me.
Now
We're
I'm
grown
waiting.
ups now. You're not
I'm
gonna do
waiting.
that, bro.
I am waiting for that article and that data.
You don't get out enough, bro. I'm not even gonna go there with you,
Women
bro.
ask for money shots. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Stanley, he's
Stanley,
actually
let's move
correct.
on. Let's move on, bro. Come
Yeah,
on. This is
let's
getting crazy.
please, because obviously I don't get out enough.
My whole argument is that, and you literally said you know why. So let's start from the beginning because that was a troll answer. But men
Oh
seem to
no, it
have
was
a
a
level.
serious answer. I don't.
Well,
This
fair
isn't
enough. So
something
you're
I'm
giving
trolling.
women excuse. You're giving women an excuse to basically be assholes, while men we police each other about how we treat women. That's my whole point. Women don't have that restraint when it comes to how they police men or how they relate to men, rather. So a woman can be telling the most horrible story about what she did with a guy, and the girls will be like, "Oh well, he deserved it." But guys, yeah, you gotta be careful about who you tell your horrible stories to. Not everybody wants to hear how you went inside some girl's face. Like, nah, just because she says something crazy to you doesn't mean I want to hear how you beat her up. You know what I mean? So it's a different kind of thing with men.
True. Right. So basically, I think what you're saying is that men hold other men more accountable when it comes to the dirty stuff that they talk about women or do about women, but women don't hold themselves as accountable when it comes to stuff that they do to men.
Yeah, that's simple.
Yeah, and I think
Hmm.
it's true. So, Wolf, let's go over which other points do you want us to go over here, or do we move to another subheading?
Uh, mm, okay, number 12. I have the privilege of popularizing and consuming the idea of a thug, which is based in violence. And see, I don't like that term right there, Charles, because see how he just related thug to black. See, we talked
Exactly.
about this shit before.
Well,
I don't
maybe
like
he
that.
doesn't get out enough either.
See, I don't like that right there because see that right there alone already tells me there's an agenda behind this list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because
man.
how is
Yeah.
it a privilege for a black man to be a thug, right? How is that a privilege? And he says, with virtually no opposition from other men. Really? Are you kidding me? There is no opposition from other men when a black man is perceived as a thug. Black men
Let
are
me tell you
literally
something.
killed. They're killed for presenting in such a manner. And this guy is saying there is no opposition. It's crazy.
There is a whole place that we house the people who run into opposition while being thugs. It's called jail.
What? You're kidding, right?
Jail, jail, nigga.
You heard what you heard. Uh, my question. What? How does that? So, oh my goodness, this is such bad logic, and I don't get it out enough.
Well, hold on. All I'm simply saying is that being a thug can't be a privilege in itself when most thugs wind up in jail or at least in and out of jail. I don't see
I
how
would
that can be
argue that
privilege.
most thugs don't wind up in jail. Hence
Well,
the
all
list.
right, okay.
Hence the list.
No, nobody wants to trade their nice middle class life for a thug life. I promise you.
Oh, it
Well,
happens
hold
all the
on.
time.
Hold on, Hood Conservative. I would disagree. John Morant is an exception.
John Morant's not trying to trade his life for thug life. He's like goofing around. He's a young kid trying to play, a character on Instagram. And listen, when you catch him out there slinging rocks and gang
So
banging,
when you
then
get
we'll
a
talk. You catch
shitload
him with a body in the trunk, then we'll talk. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't consider him a kid. I mean, he is 23. So he is a man. He know what he's doing. He's done it twice now.
Yeah, but well,
I'm not trying to cape for John Morant. I'm just saying I don't think he's like the thug that the way we're describing off this list here. So I don't know if it's quite the
I'm
same.
not
He's
saying,
just a
I'm
guy
saying
friend.
what you, no, I said that in response. You said there's nobody middle class that would trade that for a thug life. I said John Morant is the exception.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't have to fight you to the death
you
over that.
dude, um, there are plenty of middle class black kids, males specifically, who will play the character you just accused John Morant of playing, a character.
You know, you know what? That's something else. It's a little
Did
bit
you
more
not
unique
say
to
it?
like. No, I'm actually trying to back off a little bit and give you guys argument more air now because you're making a point and I want to flesh it out a little bit. That's something a little more unique to like the black experience where like if you rise up out
Yeah,
of the
but
ghetto, you work hard to make money, somehow that thug imagery and culture is still a part of like being cool for you. And I don't know if
what?
that thing, if I don't know if there's a corollary in other cultures where like other groups, they still want to be thugs even if they made money.
But this is going to be my response. Yes, there are other experiences, non-black experiences, but let me make a better argument specifically for ADOS, and this is heartfelt. Being successful is part of the Black American experience too, and we have plenty of examples. Why are we not writing stuff about that and putting it on an ASU website?
Well, I mean, that's not for us to answer, but that's kind of the problem, though. And I agree
Well,
with you. Like,
dude,
there's
we
so
are
much
all successful black men here.
but again, it's
Why are
them.
we not caring about this?
It's
It's
them,
part
Stanley.
it
That's not
is
the thing.
Well, Charles, can we jump to the sports next? I want to see what they said in there.
Yep. So
Because a lot of that right there, that
before we go
list,
to the
that comes
sports,
down.
this number 7. Let's look at number 7. I have the privilege of believing that feminism is anti-black. I don't understand that point. Number 4, I have the privilege of believing that a woman cannot raise a son to be a man. Still, how is that a privilege? I really don't know.
Well, that's yes, that's the part I don't understand. Some of that is preference, some of that's just bizarre claims to me.
The fact that you can have beliefs is now a privilege. You see how like condescending, like think about like you must really, really see yourself as so far above me that the fact that I could even believe something, it's like
Hmm.
this nigga over here thinking, how dare you?
That's crazy.
Hey, can I say something about the thug thing? And
Yeah, go ahead.
let me see. I have the privilege of popularizing the consuming the idea of a thug. That to me, right? That comes off as kind of incelish black women. Why you keep fucking Pookie? Kind of lame to me. That's the vibe that I get from it, where it's like, why are you choosing the thug, but you're not choosing me? I don't know. What do y'all think? I don't know.
I got
That's
a
the vibe
theory
I
on it,
get
Luke.
from it.
I got a theory on that for you. And I think what that comes down to, and this is a theory, so I can't prove it now, but blacks are the biggest consumers in America. And I think what we're seeing is the black women have a lot of these role models that value materialism. And to them, you got to represent some of the traits of those men in that circle in order to be deemed worthy to be with them. I think black women are very materialistic.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
Remember when I was going over the stream? I don't know if you were there, Free Zone, because I kind of just did this whole thing straight through for 3 hours and didn't open a panel. But I was wondering, I couldn't tell from the writing if a man or a woman wrote this. And you guys keep saying a man wrote this, so I'm assuming you have
Man,
confirmation that a man actually wrote this.
yeah, Joel
O-
Woods is his name.
Okay,
This
fair
guy.
enough. Fair enough, because and yeah, maybe there is a little bit of that kind of college educated lame type of jealousy going on. Who knows? It's a thing. It's not a huge thing, but there is some of that at play. Who knows if that's what's going on here? But all things are possible in feminism.
So yeah, Charles, can
Yeah,
we get to the sports section?
yeah, sure. Which one you want to pick?
Okay, so now the number one, I mean, that's just obvious because of the revenue sources. Uh, I don't agree with number two. Uh, I mean, a lot of them, I don't really see really contentions to them, to be honest. I mean, it's obvious that men make more in sports than women because men are more athletic. I mean, is that
Look
even
at
an
number
argument?
7.
Well, here's why these benign things are contentious, and this is why I take issue with the entirety of the list. Even the stuff like you point out just seems obvious. This is what I mean about they're basically upset with nature, right? And so when they point out these benign things as obvious and non-contentious, what they're really doing is basically saying that we have almost an unearned privilege just by being men. Like we don't deserve it, basically. And it's such a weird thing. Like there's no other word for this other than hater. Like I don't know how else to describe this. Like, why are you such a hater? And the fact that a dude wrote this, like, I'm ashamed of you now. The patriarchy disavows this hater ass dude.
Well,
Hey, I done found this dude's picture, and he don't look black. He don't. I dropped it in the back. This is the only Jordan Woods that I could find from Arizona. He don't look black.
okay, let's see. No, it's not Jordan. It's Joel Woods. Joel, like
Oh,
Jew.
Jewel.
Yeah,
Okay, my
Joel
bad,
Woods.
my bad.
Hey, what's up, Charles?
Hey, how you doing, Kumasi?
Good, man. Good. Glad to hear talking finally, man. What's up, Stanley? If you there?
Yeah.
Kumasi,
So,
what up?
yeah, let's hear your thoughts, Kumasi.
Nah, you guys go ahead. I just came on. I want to hear more from you guys. Why
Well,
I am. So.
I mean, Charles,
Okay.
this other one too, real quick. about playing sports without a shirt on. I mean, if women want to take their shirt off and get hit in the face with their titties and shit, I mean, okay.
Hey, men would even like that. I mean, men would cheer it on.
I would watch the WNBA. I would have season tickets to like 4
I ain't
teams.
gonna hold you, bro. I agree with that.
But they have to be perfect. Can't be saggy. Do not be saggy. I will turn the channel if I see sagginess.
Damn, this list is really silly. It's just a silly list.
I mean, I think Charles, most men would agree if the women do them things, we'd be cool with it.
There was this comedian. What's
Hey,
his name?
number 8.
Okay, number 8. If I'm a coach, I can motivate.
No, I'm sorry.
punish, or-
Yeah.
I can motivate, punish, or embarrass player by saying that the player plays like a girl. But even women use that as an insult too. Like, what's this girl's name on Twitter? This conservative girl, Pearly. She made some post a while. She was talking with a guy the other day, and she was like, "You argue like a woman," and I'm like, "Is this supposed to be an insult? Because you yourself are a woman, so why are you saying that?" So if a
Well,
coach
if
says
you're a
you play
man,
like
yeah,
a
it's an
girl,
insult. You see how that works? So it's only an insult to a man to be like a woman. Even women understand that men are intrinsically just more capable and they resent that, but they'll make fun of it at the same time when they get the chance to.
yep. So it's just a matter of differences. He's just highlighting the differences between men and women and saying it's a privilege that men have these differences. I mean, we could go the other way around and look at you know, some things that are very specific to women, and can we just draw that and say these are female privileges, right? For example, the woman is more likely to be believed when she starts crying or using emotional manipulation than a man is. If the police go into a situation where they don't know when there's a threat, they are immediately going to see the man as more of a threat than the woman, even if in that situation the woman was actually the threat. So isn't that also some sort of female privilege? But I wouldn't see it as a privilege
Yes.
because it's just the way it is. That's the way life is.
Well, and Charles, women in the WNBA have a lot of privilege because the NBA is what keeps the WNBA alive.
Did you guys see the recent football match between a female team and a male team, where the male team just knocked them out by 12 goals to nothing, right? And before the game, the women were
They
like,
were
yeah,
female. They were Olympians, and those dudes
yeah.
were like retired. They don't even play anymore. I think they just called them all that morning, like, "Hey, you want to play soccer?" And they all just got up and went and beat the hell out of
12,
these girls.
12-0, and they didn't even complete it wasn't 90 minutes. They had to cut it short because the guys were just going to keep, and the goals were so easy to score. Like they were, there was no effort. They were not even playing with much effort. They were just like kicking the ball around, and you got to know that men and women are different, right? There's no point in it's crazy.
Hey, did they mention that with men, when we take a dump, there's a chance that our penis can hit the toilet? They have that privilege. Women have that privilege. Never that happen.
So women can get kicked in the nuts too. So that's another privilege for them. Oh, wow. So Wolf, is there anything else in this sports part that you want to talk about again, or should we move to the others?
Have they discussed officiating? Because that's a new thing. You see more female officiating roles like referees and coaches, to that nature now. Such as the woman on the San Antonio Spurs, I forget her name. Oh man, it escapes me. How she just got on, and people like Patrick Ewing can't even get a job.
No, I mean, Charles, most of that is common sense. Only thing I will say is the sports part is kind of BS because most women's sports, at least the WNBA, is basically kept afloat by the NBA. So they should be grateful that they have a job there because the WNBA loses money every year. It's the NBA that subsidizes them. Second point, you know, some of it gets dangerous, Charles, especially like in firefighting, for example. Women don't even have to pass the physical fitness test, but the men do.
Hmm.
So you get in the areas, Charles, where this stuff can be dangerous.
Yep.
Hey, there's another aspect to this too, that because of all of these female decisions to let men change their race and stuff, men are basically taking over women's sports now.
Yeah.
That's true.
And Free Zone Lou, I'm gonna say something controversial, but I don't really care. The way I see it is this: the women that have a brain, you know, we'll do our part to protect them. But if you're a radical feminist and you say that men ain't shit, men are trash, all this and that, and you support this, then I support the men taking everything you got.
I'm with it. I am with it, sir.
You mean?
I will get the damn trans flag and fly that bitch for them.
Shout out to the trans patriarchy.
Hell yeah.
Lou, tell him he don't even know what we've been plotting on. Like, I am waiting on that to happen. I am waiting on the day when I get to say no. You got to fight that nigga in the dress by yourself.
Oh, there was this tweet I made on Twitter where I said, just when you think you could defeat the patriarchy rebrands itself and comes as a woman. Now you don't know what the hell to do with it. So how do you defeat the patriarchy that is now in a skirt?
Yeah. So that's my thing, Charles. If a radical feminist is like, no, you know, if they call me transphobic by saying this man that dressing like a woman, I'm like, hey, you know what? Let him go. And when he whip your ass, don't say I ain't tell you so.
Yeah. A perfect example of this is I follow professional wrestling, which is not really a sport, more entertainment. And there's a company called AEW, and they have a transgender wrestler that fights the women. So far, this transgender wrestler has injured many people in the ring because you have to cooperate with the person you're with in the ring to present a match to make it believable. And this has been going on for the past couple of years now. And it's been rarely talked about. I've been the only person that kind of sort of talked about it.
Are you trying to tell me that this transgender doesn't believe in the rules? I'm shocked.
Man,
I'm shocked, I swear.
Death match.
I mean, did y'all see the radical feminists that came out and said that Brittany Griner could dominate Shaq?
Oh,
Get out of here.
He said that Brittany Griner could beat Shaq one-on-one.
Maybe in free throws. Maybe in free throws.
I said, let her go out there and try it. When he sandwiches her ass like peanut butter and jelly on bread. Yeah. I told you so.
Yeah, I was just listening to, there was this video on Twitter just earlier today before I got on the stream with you guys. And some lady right now is like the world championship not heavyweight, but like some really top-notch female boxer, right? And so in the video, she's going off her credentials like, I should be the face of boxing. If I were a man with all of these accolades, there's no way I couldn't be the face of boxing right now. And she's just going off the list of like, I did this and I did that. I was at the Olympics and I was such and such champion and I did such and such thing. And I was like, yeah, it sucks that you're not a man and nobody cares. Like, you ain't knock out the best man yet. So I don't want to, like, what did you really do?
You referring to Clarissa Shields. I know you're referring to Clarissa Shields. She's the one that's been talking.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I feel your pain, but I just don't care.
Yeah. But Charles, so we don't go too far down the rabbit hole, can we keep going to the next section?
Yep. So diaspora/global, right? So which point do you want to talk about? Oh, 5. I have the privilege of being a part of the sex that starts wars and that wields the control of almost all the existing weapons of war and mass destruction.
What in the hell?
Which one's a more weapon of mass destruction? A nuclear missile or herpes?
Yeah, nuclear weapons. So
I mean, you
women
got
want to have
EMPs too.
women want
Herpes
to have
affects more than nuclear weapons.
I mean,
I have the ability to travel around the world and have access to women in developing countries, both sexually and socially. Good Lord. So black women can travel to other parts of the world and have sex with other men. I mean, it's even much easier for a woman to do this if she wants to than it is for a man.
I mean, I've never had one dude, Charles, in America, like say that he's against a woman going to another country to find a man. It's normally the women hating on the men for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, that's because Western women, I mean, they got it backwards. Men are going to other countries to get non-Western women, whereas women are going to other countries. They're getting non-Western men, and they don't necessarily rock with they don't like that old school patriarchal, pimp hand. It's not the same for them.
Yeah. I mean, Charles, like, let me ask you an honest question. If you were single, for example, not married, and a modernized American black woman tried her attitude with you, would you tolerate it?
I couldn't possibly marry a Westerner. I mean, black or white or whatever.
And she gonna look at you and say, I'm a strong, independent boss, bitch. I don't need you, nigga.
Well, I wouldn't need her either.
Man. All right, but let's go to the college section.
Fred is asking who is eating. I think Wolf, I think you might be walking, right? You're walking.
Yeah, sorry, I'll mute up for a second.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, to me, as far as the travel thing goes, I think with like, I think black men are the last ones to figure out the whole traveling thing. Black women have been traveling and hooking up across countries and stuff for like the longest time. I don't really see that as a. I don't know, man. Like it's built up like the passport bro thing is like this huge movement of black men moving, and black men are in the black community. The black men are like the ones leading the charge to this, but women have silently just been traveling and going where they please without. They just haven't been. There just hasn't been a movement behind it. They've just been, doing it.
So hold on, Free Zone. You mean to tell me they're going to Dubai for that Dubai treatment?
Man, yeah, bro. They getting toilet treatment too. They getting all of that, bro. They are getting all of that. It's like, and if you ever notice even with the passport bro argument thing, the argument is not necessarily against the traveling thing. It's more against the, why are you talking about black women as your traveling thing? Because they already know, like they've been traveling.
I mean, and Charles, like the next section regarding college, once again, nobody is. I don't even agree to that statement, Charles, because it's not even seen in the same light when black women date outside the black race than it is during the black man. It's not even seen the same. So I don't even understand, number one, on the college.
But the thing is, black
Didn't I
men
tell
don't
you
give-
this would come up? I
black
told
men
you they
don't
were going to
give
go there.
women. They don't give black women crap over dating a white man. But I see when a black man is dating a white woman, black women get really, really, really angry.
Oh yeah, it's instantaneous, coon, traitor.
But it's not only black women though; it's black men as well. There's more black men that are more agitated than black women when it comes to that.
I didn't get that. Are you saying there are black men who get mad that a black woman is dating a white guy?
No, there's black men that get mad at black men for dating out, more so than black women get mad at a black man.
Yeah, we call them
Yeah.
maggots.
Almost nobody hates on women for dating a white guy, and then honestly, black guys be laughing at them because that blow up in their face and it looks weird after a while. But like when it comes to a black man dating out, everybody's black men, black women looking at him like he did something wrong. He betrayed his whole bloodline. Like all the ancestors are shamed now because he's dating this white girl.
Yeah, and Charles, I would like to add as well. There's this movie in the '90s called Jungle Fever. The rapid response to Jungle Fever proves my point.
I didn't
A
get that.
30-year-old movie proves your
Yes,
point.
sir, Stanley. Yes, sir. Yes,
That
sir.
is
30
the
year
oh
old
my
movie.
goodness. Let me mute.
Go ahead, Stanley.
I mean, Charles, number two is kind of funny to me.
No, a 30-year-old movie proves your point in 2023. Now, maybe I do get out more than y'all.
Stanley, they still bring up the color purple. So, like, what you mean?
That's because they remade the movie. Like
Right. They
in
loved it so
2023.
much.
No. Let me address the point. They remade the movie. They haven't remade Jungle Fever. That's the point.
I guarantee you.
I bet you, I bet you, if they remake
wait a
Jungle
minute.
Fever, you know it's gonna be a black woman and a white
Dude,
man, and it's gonna be a
you
bunch
know
of
what?
black men
Here
hating on
comes
her.
here comes the oh, let's make the point less than it was. An old movie is proving someone's point of view in 2023. That is my point.
But
There's really nothing I've
Stanley,
heard
Well,
so far that has
Stanley, you are the
made
one
me
that
think
always invokes
otherwise.
history.
I think I get
You
out
always
y'all
invoke
more
history
than
in
y'all do.
2023. No, Stanley, you can't make this distinction now, right? You
Yes,
always
I
invoke
can make the
history.
distinction.
No, you can't.
A
You can't.
30-year-old
You-
movie is not relevant
uh,
in 2023, Charles. Prove
okay,
me
can I say
wrong.
slavery is not relevant in 2023. Jim Crow is not
There you
relevant
go.
in
I'm
2023.
sorry. I'm so sorry, but the Spike Lee movie wasn't about slavery, Charles.
No, Stanley,
here we
you
go. Oh, Stanley. That's all I'm gonna just say from now on is, oh, Stanley.
Yeah, well, that's probably all you can say.
oh, good Lord. Okay, so let's go back to the points. Wolf, which other one are you talking about?
I mean, number two, Charles, was funny to me.
I
You know
have
what
the
I'm saying?
privilege of
Means.
having the phrase sowing my wild oats applied to my sex as if it were natural. What do you guys think about that one?
Hey, coming to America. The African man got the soul as wild oats, man.
That's why I was saying this is the comedy part.
Well, that's maybe what Glenn Lowry's talking about. Gotta solve. I'm sorry. Gotta sow or shouldn't sow. God. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So many bad points here.
And see, here's another one, Charles. With number 6, I don't see it's actually frowned upon versus the black woman, and SKC broke this down. It's more promoted for black women to go to college than it is black men, at least in the subculture of Black America.
Who is promoting black women going to college more than black men? Can you name a source?
Black women, Stanley. That's why they say they're strong in
Okay, so what? So your
There are
point.
almost, I don't think there are
So
any government-funded scholarships for men, Stanley.
black women control the black community in the United States. Is that what you're saying?
the black women, Stanley, are the one that influence the black women.
I'll say it.
Okay. So the black men are just kind of like out there hanging out on the corner.
In the subculture, yeah.
Okay.
Not really.
So black women are not encouraging their sons in single households to make something of themselves. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
it's way more
No.
complex. Well, no,
Apparently.
it's not that complex. Let me say it like this. It's not so complex. It's like this. Black women, by and large, put more effort into getting their girls ready, and then the government. So it's a combination of
And
women's energy is more
they
spent on the girls, and the government has more. The government spends way more resources on making the girls independent, as opposed to teaching the boys how to, find a career for themselves and live a sustainable lifestyle for themselves, right? So what happens is the boys grow up, and there's almost nothing compared to what the girls got as far as opportunities for advancement. So this is why you'll go to like any government office in a major black city, it's almost dominated by females. Like there's a couple guys in there, some of them are, gay basically. And the women pretty much organize that whole thing that way. The women work in HR. They work in all the receptionist office. They even run the security thing now. And so you have hiring drives. You have people in all different positions who are outright saying, we got to get more women in this field. We got to get more women in that field. You know what that means? That's a guy who didn't get that job. So when it comes to the black community, those are black men who don't get that job, right? So if I go to like the projects in New York City, this is what I see. And I've been noticing this for years, and it always bugged me. And then I didn't really understand why it bugged me until lately. Those jobs, when you go into like your project, your housing developments or whatever, a lot of the people who work the grounds in those neighborhoods are people who live in the projects in another neighborhood, right? So you'll be in you'll work in you'll live in your projects or whatever, and you'll get an application because you're a resident, and they'll hire you as a groundskeeper or whatever. And this could be like a career. You work for the city now, and there's benefits and all that. You hang in there for years, you're pretty set. Now, they're giving these jobs way more to women. There's just a hiring drive way more directed at women than men. And so there's all these little things, these little like death by a thousand cuts kind of things, where it's like it actually has the effect of having way more women who are employed and employable versus the men. And not to mention just the overall head count, there's, more girls than boys at a certain point. So you wind up with a lot more women who are in these jobs and a lot less men who can actually fill these jobs, let alone get the job.
To boil this all down, the U.S. government and black women are teaming up to keep black males down.
I agree with that.
And
well, remember Obama?
It's ridiculous. I'm done.
How so though? How so is it ridiculous? Can you explain that?
I just heard
Sammy, I think he keeps dropping. It's probably in a bad area.
I just heard a whole
I'll put it to you like this, right? Black women
Let me respond.
are the primary driver of black politics as far as, Democrats or whatever, right?
And
so
I think you are wrong. Period.
Okay, hold on. Let me just explain. You can think that. Let me explain the point. Give me a couple more seconds, right? Black women are the primary target when it comes to the Democrat Party. Ask yourself this. How many male specific efforts do you see the Democrats making when it comes to black men getting their vote out? And I'll add you a caveat. It's almost exclusively about getting black men out of jail.
There is Mondale, can't remember his last name. There are plenty of black men who got out the vote in Georgia, which is where I live.
That wasn't the question. You're not speaking directly to the question. Let me try to get you on target.
You haven't proved.
What is male specific? What is male specific, Stanley? Black male specific that the Democrats are selling you in that voting booth?
And name me a female specific.
Welfare, housing, college.
And who invented that? The government, correct?
Don't give me this tap dance. Black women vote for this. They organize for this. They organize for it. When they have their little meetings in their classes at colleges and they go to lobby the government for this sort of thing, they're not including the men. They want things for women. They want things so women can be independent of men.
I'm saying you haven't proven your point.
No, Hood
I got
Stanley is
one
on.
for you, Stanley.
No,
I got
he's
one for
more
you,
than
Stanley.
provable, Stanley. It's not even debatable what he's
No,
saying.
well then you help him out because I'm waiting to hear who is the black woman and specifically where that in partnership with the US government, who with the government, specific black woman keeping black males in the
Let me
United States down.
let me make
Name
another
it.
ugly. Let me make another ugly
Let
connection for you. You're asking for evidence. I'm giving you. Granted, it's tangential, anecdotal evidence, but that's the best you're gonna do in a little conversation on YouTube right now. But go to your any inner city black school and you do a head count and tell me how many black men versus black women you see, and then you go specifically to the administrators and the people in positions of power and authority, and you tell me how many black women versus black men when you see when it comes to the school system, that prison, the school to prison pipeline. Who's running this pipeline?
potential was how you defined your argument.
I was gonna say Black Girls Rock is a yearly program by BET, and they always give scholarships to black girls. Yes, it's a
And
yearly. It's going on
was
to
it
this
a
day, Stanley.
female?
You didn't know that? You didn't know that, Stanley? Oh, there you go. There you go.
Well, hold on. Who just bought BET? A black woman?
No, a guy in the
Or is
dress
it
called Tyler Perry. A guy in the dress
okay?
called Tyler Perry.
Is he male or female?
I mean, it depends. In this time today,
Come
he could
on,
be
dude.
a female.
It
No,
can't
no, no.
depend.
Listen.
It can't depend.
Being a man isn't enough, because there are male feminists out there. So don't slip some dude in a dress
Oh
on my team and say,
no.
yeah, he's a guy. No, I'm not rocking with that.
Was the dude who bought BET a woman or a man?
He's not a man with male interest. Him being a
Oh
man is
Jesus
useless.
Christ! So
His
now,
masculinity is worth nothing.
so he's not a man, is what you're saying.
Might as well cut it off and put it in a jar. His masculinity is worth nothing.
And you know
So
what? You did not buy BET, but a man did.
Yeah, so gay men have a lot of money, Stanley. Have you not noticed? It's Pride Month.
No, I don't get to notice. I don't actually get to make dumbass arguments. It's literally a dumb argument.
It's not dumb to think that someone who more than likely represents the interest of the gay community is not a masculine leader for the interest of men. That is, you are slipping a subversive agent. That's like trying to put a spy into my house.
Oh, really? Well, then
Yes,
you know
yes.
what? You need to defend your house.
Dude, you're the one trying to tell me this dude in a dress is now my friend. The dude in a dress is not my ally, Stanley. Why do you think that?
I'm the dude who just told you you're making a dumb argument.
Why do you think the guy in a dress is my ally just because he bought BET?
I think your argument is a black female did not buy BET. I don't think black women are controlling the black community in the United States. And I certainly don't think that black females with the U.S. government are keeping black men down.
Okay.
How
Stanley,
many
let me ask
movies
you a
has
question.
Tyler Perry made where the black woman was the bad guy?
Is Tyler Perry a male or a female?
No, there was one.
No.
How many
Stanley.
movies has Tyler Perry made where a black woman was the antagonist?
No, Stanley.
Dude, he hasn't made movies with BET yet,
Let me
has
ask
he?
you a question, Stanley. There was two black women, highly prominent radical feminists who
what are their
and
names?
said this.
Please don't be.
They were part.
What are their names?
Radical feminists.
What are their names?
No, Stanley, you gotta stop interrupting, bro. They were two black radical feminists, and they said the black man needs to shut his goddamn mouth and fall in line behind the black woman because it's our time now. What is that, bro? What is that?
I wanted to add real quick too.
Which black women said that? You're saying women.
New York. It was New York.
New York, a big state.
They told the black man to shut their fucking mouth.
Black women told black men. That seems to be the depth and the data you're giving me. Black women, black
Yes,
men.
two
Please be,
When
prominent black
Nina
women.
please
when
be
Nina
more
Turner,
specific.
Nina Turner, who was the campaign head, not Nina Turner, what
Who
Simone,
lost?
what was that girl?
Who,
Simone
dude?
Sanders. You wanted names. You wanted names. I'm gonna flesh out the story for you so you can have names. Simone Sanders, who was Bernie Sanders' campaign manager or something like that, she was asking about why so many black men were, given so many unsolicited opinions. And she was basically saying black men, this is a different story compared to what the other guy was saying, by the way, but she was basically out there saying, you guys need to shut up and mind your business. Like, this is what black political leadership says to black men. Did you see the no voting, no fucking campaign? Are you serious? Do you not know how cheaply they think about us?
And also, I want to add Vivica Fox, Selena Johnson.
Nina Turner is not in the government. She's just a black woman from Cleveland.
Well, you didn't say black women in the government. You just said black women in general. That was your
black women and government. So that Nina Turner has an opinion means that black men are oppressed.
Well, Stanley, she was with Bernie Sanders, as he just said. Bernie Sanders is in the government. Bernie's in Congress, Stanley. What are you talking about?
All right.
Hey,
I'm
Stanley,
sorry.
can we dial this back real quick? Let me ask you a question, Stanley. Oh, did he just
Please
leave?
go ahead. No. I'm
Okay. Because y'all, I mean, the conversation went a lot of places, but I know Stanley was shooting down everybody else's opinion of why black men aren't in college and university like that. I was going to ask him why does he think that is the case?
I don't think there's a case. My only point is that black women are not the enemy of black men in the United States. I think the argument.
Would you settle for political opposition?
Let me finish, please. Or am I going to be put in the back of the show again?
Political opposition. That's all I'm saying.
And I don't. You know what? Hell, there are plenty of Republican black women. I don't think black women in the United States are the mortal enemy of black men.
But
I think this is a lot of fluff. It's
not saying the black woman saying the black man is the mortal enemy. That's not
okay. My point is that black women are not causing the downfall of black men. That's my point.
Okay.
Then who is that in your opinion? Who is that? I have to disagree
with
that. I think it's a bigger argument, and I think the let's blame black women because of feminism is a very weak argument.
All right, so there's this other point, interesting point. Point 7, if I go to an HBCU, I will have incredible opportunities to exploit black women. So, is this what happens at HBCUs, where black men get the opportunity to exploit black women?
Who here has been to an HBCU? Not me. I have not either.
Me. I have.
I don't think the writer. I don't think the writer of this article has been the one. I mean, you're at Arizona.
Well, then, how in hell are we taking this list seriously?
We're not.
Well, it sounds like.
That's your opinion, though. You can stand on that.
No. I'm looking at this list on my screen. So someone is taking it seriously.
Do you take seatbelt laws seriously?
What does that have to do?
I'm going somewhere. I promise you.
Are black women telling black men not to wear seatbelts? Well, then please go there because
dude.
Oh, please go ahead because I want to see where you're going.
Okay. Now that we've established it's not about the seatbelts, let's actually listen to the whole thing. When I say that, do you take seatbelt laws seriously? My point is, once upon a time, there were no seatbelt laws. And there were
Dude, I'm
groups of people.
58 years old. I certainly
Yes, and
know
so I
this.
need you to hold on for a second. I need you to hold on for a second. So before there were seatbelt laws, there were people. There was no internet back then, so you couldn't read their writings just on the internet. But there were people gathering in groups and discussing why we need seatbelt laws, right? And so, voila! Next thing you know, seatbelt laws happen. So my point is, we're reading this not because we take it serious, but because people who are in college right now, who might go on to positions of power and authority, seem to take it serious.
Ridiculous.
And also, Stanley,
Were black people fighting for seatbelt laws in the 70s?
Do you not under?
This is awesomely bad.
No, I know. I really know it is awesomely bad. But like, what is your issue with metaphors? What is your issue with metaphors, Stanley?
He's not
I thought
getting
you like rap. I thought you like rap, Stanley. Metaphors are filling rap.
Listening to a rap song must be like dyslexia for you. Like, bro, what is up with you in metaphors?
I'm waiting for a good one.
Oh my goodness, that was a good one, Stanley. That was a good one. Thank you for that one. Appreciate
And
that.
I'm afraid you can do better than that.
I won't. That's the thing. I could, but I am intentionally not.
I anxiously, and please, no, dude, you must enlighten me. You think you have a strong argument. I simply disagree that you do. So if you can do better than seatbelt laws, I anxiously await.
The argument wasn't a seatbelt law, though. That's why I asked, what is your issue with metaphors?
I have a problem. I don't have a problem with metaphors. I'm waiting for an actual effective metaphor to make your point.
Metaphor is probably the wrong word. That was an analogy. I'm sorry. That was an analogy.
It wasn't a good simile. It wasn't a good analogy. It wasn't much of anything.
So you couldn't follow it whatsoever. You never understood it from start to finish. I get that. Sir. I'm glad we're on the same page.
No, sir. Not only do I not get it, I laughed at it.
I know. I get that, and I accept that. I got no beef with that. Laugh away.
Hey Stanley, what's your thoughts on the mindset of the person that created this article?
I think that talking about HBCUs, if you haven't experienced it, is suspect.
Well, what if someone was paid to do a study and they didn't go to the HBCU? Would you take it serious?
I don't even know where to go with that. I don't have an answer.
Cool.
In SKC, you know what? SKC, I must say this. Hood Conservative is making way better arguments than you have, like, since I've known you. So I'll stop there.
I just noticed something. Stanley is like Trump. Stanley's.
Nah, he doesn't have the swagger.
Well, no, honestly,
I mean, like, that was an insult to Trump.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay if y'all don't agree, but sometimes you have to hear an older person who actually lived in the time that they made seatbelt laws. I have been in cars where there were no seatbelts.
God damn it, Stanley! Tell us the history of seatbelts. Please tell me the history of seatbelts, Stanley. Please, I beg you.
Well, let me put it to you this way. That's why I'm saying it's a bad analogy. y'all don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right.
I
Well,
agree with the Trump analogy. I see where you're going, Charles.
We just got to get him a toupee.
Except I think Trump is y'all's guiding light, not mine.
No, he's talking about the tactics that you use to debate other
Well, no,
people.
honestly, I'm not making this up. I actually do think the seatbelt law is a bad analogy. I'm not being facetious here. I'm not being mean. I actually don't think it's effective.
all right. So I think we should just take one more point because I'm exhausted. I need to go to bed. So, Hoodservative, which one do you think we should take here and talk about before we end the stream?
Well, relationships is good. I think if you scroll down, did they get to leadership yet? Because there's like a bunch of different subsections. That's why it took me like 3 hours.
Yeah. So this is relationship. Well, we're at relationship right now.
No, I want to hear leadership.
Leadership. I think we've passed leadership. Let me see if we can find.
I think that smart,
Yeah, leadership was
good
the
people
about the first
with
one.
goals are good leaders.
Leadership is the first one.
Leaders don't blame people. They solve problems.
So for leadership, we have most of the national opinion framers in Black America, including talk show hosts and politicians, are men.
That's not current. That's not a current thing. Talk shows are led by women now. Women hosts.
Does that say I don't have to choose my race over my sex in political matters?
Yep.
What kind of Jesus Christ.
Listen, I just advised men to do that specific thing. I literally told black men you should do that very thing.
This was
Hey, Charles.
nuts.
Charles,
Yeah.
is SKC on the panel?
He's trying to get on, but the panel
Okay,
is
no,
full,
I'll
so-
drop out. SKC deserves
Okay.
to be here. I'll listen.
I'll drop down.
Nah, I think he. Oh, Stanley, I think he wanted you on. I think he came up for you, man. You the star, baby. You the star.
I'll drop down. Thank you, Charles, for letting me on.
Yeah,
Hi,
I
SKC,
actually wanted to hear. Oh, hey, what's going on, Charles and everyone? I actually wanted to see how Stanley could substantiate his claim. I mean, everyone else listed names. They listed various events, other data sets where it was anecdotal evidence and so forth. All he said was, well, I just don't believe that they are that influential over Black America. And then that was just it. So I'm just wondering, like, everyone else was given the burden of proof of something. But the only thing that he offered to you guys was, well, I just don't believe that.
Yeah, he just doesn't believe it. So that's
I mean, so that's not that is not a cogent argument.
in Stanley's word, I think it is.
It was just weird to me. So I was just like, where did this come from? One thing that I wanted to mention about that whole situation was, what's her name? Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally listed that she lost because she stated
Hey,
that black women
SKC.
didn't vote for her. So
I have not heard a name or a specific instance. I've seen a list that people are reading. Maybe you can school these young folks, because I have not seen one. I'm here. Tell me how I'm wrong, sir.
okay, who is called the backbone?
Dude, let's. Charles is getting sleepy. How about let's deal with specifics, data, and names that you said you heard? Now,
Yeah, so 5 minutes. We'll end
Charles
this
said
show in 5 minutes.
in my world, I didn't hear what was said. So, SKC, you have come on to correct me. Please do. I
Simone Sanders.
Simone Sanders is not in government. She was in government and was
When
basically
she when
dropped.
she, when she
Dude,
when she stated it,
is she in government?
when she stated it, she
Okay.
literally worked in the White House.
So is Simone
I don't
Sanders
I don't I
is
don't think you
Simone
get
is Simone
I
no
do not think
no
you get more government than that.
doesn't influence black men. And for obvious reasons.
I don't think you get more government than that.
And you know what?
If you work in the White House when you make a statement, I don't think you can get more government than that.
And I don't think Simone Sanders was ever influential on ADOS in America. That's my point.
You don't think
She was
that's your
she
that's
was
your that's your
she
counter
she
that is your counter evidence is you don't think.
she was a spokesman for the vice president. No, I know she wasn't influential.
Okay. She worked under Kamala Harris.
The vice president,
Yes.
vice presidents are not that influential.
Okay. And this is the evidence that one is putting forth to make their claim.
Not only am I making the claim, I'm waiting for you to tell me how Kamala Harris as vice president and Simone Sanders as her spokesperson influenced black men. Please tell me.
That wasn't part of my
No,
claim.
no, dude. Dude. Simone Sanders did not influence black men. She did not make
that wasn't my claim. That was not my claim.
What is your claim? That Simone Sanders
influenced black women.
I think you're full of shit.
That's not a cogent argument.
Simone Sanders influenced ADOS culture. Really?
I didn't say that. I said that she influenced.
No, you said. I'm talking about black women, specifically ADOS in the United States. Can we agree? I'm saying Simone Sanders had zero influence.
All right. Okay. I think we've belabored that point too much. So I think this would be a good place to come to the end of the show. Let's just take our final thoughts on this show. Stanley, you go first, then SKC, Wolf, then Hoodservative.
Well, I enjoy the conversation. SKC, always good talking to you. Enjoy I enjoy the back and forth. And Hoodservative, hopefully we can talk again. So that's that.
SKC.
Yeah, just easy. I just think that things. Well, thank you for just having me on in the first place. I think when you're having these discussions, just as you state at the very beginning, I think you lean into the idea of seeing if things are logically consistent. And in order to be logically consistent, one of the facets of it is that you have to have a foundation of an argument that's founded in logic itself, not just one's feeling.
I look forward to your logic,
or what they may believe on something, but giving a firm counterclaim. And so, yeah, I like these discussions, and I hope they continue. Hand it over to Wolf, man.
Thanks, SKC. Wolf.
So I would look at this list as not to be taken seriously, If you are, without a father, I wouldn't use this list as like a role model sheet or nothing. If you want to read it, see where some things could apply, some things could not. I don't see an issue with that. But the main thing is this: Hood Conservative hit pretty heavy on that. And I talked about this, Charles, before. Besides the nuances of the middle class Black women, they have turned their back on the Black man, in my opinion. And I do think they have aligned with the U.S. government against the Black man. He referenced Nina Turner. I will go find the name of them two radical feminists and send them to Stanley once I get a second. I just think that as a whole, we need to do better with our thoughts. Diversity of thought in the Black community is especially important, and the family structure needs to be repaired. And I think that we need to both learn, Black men and Black women, to take accountability for our actions on some things and strive for a better day tomorrow.
Wow, that's very well said, Wolf. So thank you guys for coming to the conversation today. I really, really appreciate your thoughts. It was a good stream. We've done about 2 hours, 30 minutes. In summary, I think the list, like Wolf said, I think the list, I think it's silly, right? It's a silly list, but why I decided to talk about it is it just fits the pattern of looking for more groups to victimize, or looking for more victimization of people, of groups. So now it's, how do we separate the Black man from the Black woman and say the Black man has certain privileges and the Black woman doesn't have those privileges, right? People have all sorts of privilege based on certain characteristics, and I don't think it's, well, would I say privileges? I don't know. It's just things that apply to people. As a man, there are things that just apply to you naturally. It's not because it's a privilege. It's not because the system is designed to favor you in a certain way. If you're a man, you're just naturally physically stronger than a woman. It's not designed by anything. It just is, right? So taking all those things that typically apply to men and just slapping a black male label on it and say, well, these are privileges that men have, is silly, because I think privileges are things that have to be backed by almost by law. No, I'm not certain. I'm just making this up. But anyway, I think the list is silly, and it was just done by someone who is a sociologist. These sociologists and psychologists, I don't know if they. I just think that I think those disciplines are. I don't think much of those disciplines. That's what I'll say. But anyway, good show. Thank you guys for coming. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys in another live stream. So it's bye for now. Bye, guys.